Welcome to the Altered Moments podcast. Thanks for tuning in and making a choice to see God is still alive and at work changing people's lives. This is a show filled with stories of grit and gratitude to inspire you to never give up no matter what comes your way. And now, here's your host, Kimberly Stevens.
Welcome to the Altered Moments podcast on this Friday. Happy Friday. I'm Kimberly Stevens. I'm your host for Altered Moments. And on this show, we aim to encourage you to never give up no matter what comes your way. In this podcast, we take deep dives into what it means to surrender our trials and our hurts and our problems at the altar of God. When things come our way that are hard, we have a choice. We can carry them around and feel discouraged and beaten, or we can surrender them at the altar of God and watch what He does. Together, this podcast will help us all find our way back to the altar, into the arms of our loving Savior. And right now, I want to bring an amazing friend and successful businesswoman to the stage, my very dear friend, Bonnie Huntsman. Bonnie, welcome.
Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
In addition to being my friend, you're also my neighbor. I can almost throw stones across the pond in my backyard to your house.
That is true.
One of my greatest blessings of 2024 was moving close to you.
Yes, mine also. You have no idea. I just knowing that you're just around the corner just makes my heart full.
So I'm welcome to everybody who's joining us live today. And Bonnie and I are both coming from Orlando, Florida. And Bonnie, tell us a little bit about your family.
Oh gosh. So I grew up in Florida. I grew up in Sanford, actually. I grew up with a father who, didn't have much religion, should I say. He was almost borderline an atheist. But so over the years, when something happened, a tragic accident, he found his way and he found God, and it was amazing after all the years of growing up and just not having that presence. And I would go to church when I was little with my mother. Of course, my father never went, but my mother wanted us to go, so he was okay with it. And then the transformation when he actually had his accident, the tragic accident that actually killed another driver, that he started praying for the first time in his life, that found his way to the church, and he never looked back. And it was an amazing moment to see. So, but
awesome. So right now, even though you are one of the few Florida natives, you are here in Orlando, and you're married to...
I'm married to George, my husband of, this year will be, what are we in? I don't even know. 25 will be 22 years, I believe. It's been so long, I don't even know. 22 years, yes, married. And we live in, outside of Orlando in Apopka, as you said, in the same house for 21 years. And yes, he's an amazing man. And he grew up in the church, and he was almost going to be a minister. He went to like Bible study church. I don't even know what you would call it, honestly. But a path took him another way, to be an airline pilot, because that was always his dream, to fly planes. So he, had to make that decision of, do I want to finish this, or is my path something else, which it was. And so he's a pilot and he loves it. It's his life, and he can't get enough of airplanes, as you know.
So and you also fly.
I do fly part-time. Yeah. I mean, I have multiple jobs, but yeah, I do fly part-time with a major airline, a couple days a week for some good benefits. Can't lie. And yeah.
Yeah, but you're not just a flight attendant. Tell us about some of the other things you do.
So I'm also a realtor. I sales associate in a very successful company in Orlando. And I've been doing that since COVID. Actually, COVID got me into that when that was the booming thing to do. Everybody was selling their homes here left and right, moving to Florida, as we know. And Yeah, so and I quite enjoy it. Yeah, so it's been what, almost 4 years now. It's hard to believe. Yeah, it's been a good transition. So yeah.
And then, as if you're not busy enough as a realtor and a flight attendant, full time for both, you also wrote a book.
I did. I found time. My schedule. Oh gosh, yeah, that was a process of getting up early every morning to just kind of purge my thoughts of my life, because after my father's death that about, it caused a lot of just soul searching for me, of because we had finally connected. We had plans in life, and he died suddenly of a blood clot. And the path of that was because my father he had all these dreams in life, and he always wanted to do things with his life, but got married young, started a family, and kind of put all his lifelong dreams on the back shelf. He always wanted to be a history teacher. He never went back to finish college after he got married. And then growing up, he just had all these little things he would say, how he would love to just travel the world, go to Europe. And his famous thing is he liked to drink beer. So he would always say he would love to go to sit in Ireland in a pub and have a pint of Guinness. Well, at that time I was flying a flight attendant. So I would always say to him, Dad, we can go and do that, but you don't have your passport. And I would always remind him that, like, you can't just go to Europe without a passport. But as he would say, oh, it's not meant for me to be. It was not in the cards for him to go to Europe and have his passport. And so I just kept nagging, years and years and years of nagging, because I've been flying for 25 years, but at that time it was like 15 years. And I just kept saying, get your passport so we can go do something, and we can do a father-daughter trip, and I can take you to Europe. You can see the things that you've dreamed about and you just talk about, but, oh, it's not for me, he would say. So I just nag. And finally, he, to my dismay, one day, he had started the process, and he's like, I'm going to get my passport. And so we had started the process of him getting his passport, and made plans for him and me to travel to Europe. We were going to go to Ireland and take the train around and go visit. And so he applied for his passport. He applied for his passport, and then before his passport came in the mail, he passed away. All the plans were already set. Everything was ready to go, and it just wasn't meant to be. I'm sorry.
So that is the title of your book, right?
Well, actually, it's
the title.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, to a fulfilling life. And it's basically about the journey of my father and me and my life, and how he had all these dreams and never really did anything about it. And then it was too late. And, the irony of everything is, after he died, I was staying at my parents' house because, there's a lot more involved in it. It's probably another time and story for you. But my mother was in the hospital also. So I was staying in the hospital for like 2 weeks with my mom. And then when I checked the mail afterwards, when I went back to the house, and his passport was in the mail. That was the moment that really kind of hit me, of like, how could this be? He waited so long. He was 69 years old, waited so long, finally did all the paperwork, and never got to use it. It just sat there, unstamped, never to be used. And that just got me just like infuriated and mad, and just thinking about my life. Like, what haven't I done with my life? What have I dreamed about and just didn't do? We put on the back burner, procrastinated, or thought, out of fear maybe, that I was like not going to do it. And so that started the process of me thinking about writing this book. To my thought was, if I could have one person read this book and there's something that they wanted to do in their life and they do it, that was my whole mission, and that was it. That's the reason I wrote the book. If one person read the book and they decided to take action and get their passport, or get on the plane, have fear of flying, because I hear that every day, people have fear of flying, but then I guess my mission was accomplished. And it's not a big book. It's a really easy read. I mean, you could literally just sit in one afternoon and read it. And I have got a lot of good feedback from a lot of people about it too, and it really warms my heart because when you do things in life, you don't expect what comes after, and so I've been very thankful and appreciative of all the feedback, and so yeah, that's my journey of just hoping that one person might read it and might get them to do something that they might have not done in life. So.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
So they can go to my website. It's bonniehuntsman.com. Easy enough. There we go. Yep, you can scan the QR code too and get my book, and I will autograph it for you. That QR code actually sends it directly to me, where you can purchase it from me directly, and I mail it a signed autograph copy to you. So
amazing. Spell out your website for people who are just listening. Yes.
Okay, so it's Bonnie, BONNIE, Huntsman.com. So bonniehuntsman.com.
HUNTSMAN.com.
STM. Yes, sorry.
So I know you just told us a lot about your story because that's your book.
Yeah.
And if you had to
pick, give it all away.
If you had to pick an altered moment, what would you say? I know we all have so many, but what would you say is the one moment that really inspired you, changed you? Maybe it discouraged you at first.
So hold on one second. I guess really where it started, old moment, when my father died, and as I said, I grew up, he didn't have any religion. Well, then when he did, so biggest thing is when my mother came to me after he died and asked me if I wanted his Bible. And with tears, I'm like, of course I want his Bible. And to my dismay, what I love about this Bible the most is my father was an avid note taker, and almost in every chapter is a handwritten note that he had taken. And every morning or every time when I read it, I just feel his presence, because through his handwriting, it's just, I don't want to talk about it much without crying, but it's just, I feel like that was it and started my journey of really becoming closer to God and getting to know him by reading my father's Bible, reading my father's words. And just that path, it's been an amazing path that I've been on to get closer to him. Because I grew up, like I said, I went to church, but then, you kind of fall off and you get older, life happens. And then after my father's death, it kind of brought me back to the center of what's most important and what I need to do and be closer to God.
So for you, trying to get myself back on the screen there. For you, I know it made me really sad when that passport came in the mail and you felt like this was somebody who never lived their dreams.
Yeah.
So when you observed that, did it change you? What dreams did you pursue?
It did. It, I just started, wanting to take more trips and do things with my mother and, take care of my brother, even though that might not have been a dream, but my brother is mentally ill. My father had taken care of him and was his guardian. And so once my father died, I became his guardian. And, the dreams of just being able to take care of him, that's pretty amazing. So. But yeah, it's just living every day that, I try not to take a day for granted, spend as much time with my mother, visit my brother as much as I can, and just try to live my life, without fear of doing something. And because you just don't know when, what tomorrow's going to bring. And, I never thought I was going to write a book, but then when I thought about it, it was, it just came to me that that's what I needed to do for me too, as a healing, because to get it out about my father, and there's lots of more little surprises in the book. So if you pick it up, but just to get it out was very cathartic, should I say, as a help me healing journey.
And as you've healed, so you got your real estate license.
Yeah.
You've also been speaking.
I've been to some speaking events, been working on that, and trying to find, what path I'm supposed to go or do with the book and the speaking. And, it's a journey and a process, as they say, but I'm getting there.
So, and you've also kept your dad's passport as a reminder.
Yeah. I actually carry it everywhere I go. Every trip I take, it's in my suitcase with me. Funny story, after he died and I took it and I had a trip to, Germany, where one of the stops we were supposed to make, I tried to get them to stamp it. I went through customs and they weren't having any of it. But I asked, I'm like, well, it doesn't hurt to ask, if they would stamp it, at least they would have a stamp in his passport. But
so when you look at that passport and you carry that with you, what is the message you're telling yourself when you look at it?
Oh, just don't stop living your dreams. If there's something that I can do and achieve it, because it's funny. Parents like to tell you what you can do. My father would always say, "You can do whatever you want," but then he never really did whatever he wanted. But he would tell me that you could do what you want, and now I feel like I need to live that and do what I want. Like, the dreams that I want. Do I want to have a career in speaking and just touch somebody else's life? And just be out there and make it known and keep my father's, I guess, memory alive of like, look, you don't have to be like this. He didn't live his life and his dreams, but you can. We're all here only for a short amount of time. And we get lost sometimes in our day-to-day life, like my father with having kids, and we all go through that process. As you have children and you kind of sacrifice yourself. And that's what I feel like my father did. He sacrificed himself a lot for his family. And then as he got older, felt like, oh, well, I guess it's, not his time. And then it wasn't. It was too late, The time he did decide to do something and take action, then it was too late. And like I said, I don't want that for anybody. And when I was looking at my life, I'm like, I don't want that for my life. I want to do things that he didn't do, or he couldn't do because, he passed away so soon. And is that like, you want to be mad at God when, we lose someone, but they say there's a reason. Did he have to die? So I would look at my life and do something, and then maybe touch someone else's life to be able to do something that they might not have done. But who knows? We don't know. We can just act and do it, right?
Move forward every day. Yeah, well, I was journaling not too long ago, and I just had a big birthday. And I looked at that number and I said, gosh, if I live a long life, my life is 2/3 over.
Yeah.
And that's if I live a long life.
Yeah.
And I literally wrote down right underneath that, what do I want to do with the,
whatever time you've left. Yeah. I know that's what we need to do. Silly as it may seem, I write down every day things that I want to do and achieve still, And I love Hawaii and I want to live there one day. So I write it down every day. I'm going to retire somehow in Hawaii. So
there.
I did. Yes, I had to get back to my center and appreciate it and be like, okay, yes, to reaffirm, I am going to live here someday. Yes, I will. And, you just have to believe it too. And I think that was a lot of what kept my dad, held him back, is he, grew up poor, didn't have a lot of money, just felt like, that was him. Life just got him put down and he didn't deserve or didn't believe he deserved anything in life. And that's the biggest thing with people. If we get stuck in that rut that we don't deserve it, and we believe that, that's what's going to happen to us. It's our destiny.
I think you just said the key, right? We not only have to put something down on our paper and have our dreams and take that next step forward to pursue our dreams, but we have to believe we're worth having those dreams.
Yeah. And my father never felt worthy. There's parts in the book that I go into of how, he would tell my mom he just didn't feel worthy of anything. And, growing up how he did, he was just so beat up from life. And just resigned to that. That was his life, of not being worthy to have anything, to do anything, of just exist. And when I think about it and look back, it just saddens me that so many of us do that. We just exist. We just show up, go through the day of work or whatever, and taking care of the family and kids, and we don't take time out for ourselves and what we want, and we go through the motions. And that's part of my book, is like, we need to live our life now. We have one life, and do more than exist. There's a big world out there. And I remember one time, it was funny, when I first started flying, and my dad's mother, my grandmother, was still alive. She never did anything with her life either. She lived this meek life, was abused by my grandfather, and never did anything. And when I started flying, and I was going all these places and would show excitement, and she would ask me, well, why do you want to do that? And I'm like, because I feel like God put it here for us to see. And I would always say, like, why would this big old world be here if it wasn't meant for us to see it? That God didn't create all this stuff for us to just wish that we could see it, like my father did. And so I feel like he got a lot of that from my grandma. Never had many dreams or wishes growing up, and just didn't do anything. And anytime someone had something, she just couldn't understand why. Why do you need that? Why do you want that? And it's not really about want or need. It's just about life, that we all have desires and wants, and we're here once, and we need to experience it before it's too late.
And I think curiosity is also a big part of it. When we're kids, we're curious
about everything. Yeah.
I remember my kids, just everything was new and wonderful and discoverable, and they wanted to see it. And then somehow we suffer setbacks.
Yep.
And so where we used to reach our arms out really far to see what was under a rock or something, maybe we got bitten once, so we don't reach out quite as far the next time.
Yeah, the fear holds us back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's true, because I remember as a kid, you'd always see all these cities like Las Vegas and San Francisco and all these, cities that are like nice, New York City. And I always dreamed of going there someday, never realizing, when I first started flying, that I would be based in San Francisco and live there for a full year, and absolutely loved every second of it, because I never dreamed that I would actually see San Francisco, let alone live there for a year. And then, like, the same when I went to New York City for my first time, you're just like, all the lights and everything's so exciting, and never dreaming there again that I would actually go to New York City. So we all have dreams as a kid. And then, like you said, somewhere it gets lost in the shuffle, and we grow up and we stop dreaming. And it's just a sad tragedy. Why, we feel as adults that we can't still dream like we did when we were little, and actually work to make them come true.
I think I can speak to that a little bit, in that I know I was really afraid when my daughter was born. Mm-hmm. I was afraid she would die. She was born, she was fine, and then when she was 3 days old, they told me she had the same disease that killed her brother. Mm. And so for her life was very, very, I protected her. My fear of her dying sought to protect her. And I put her in a bubble. Mm. And I remember this very particular day. She was about 9 months old, and she wasn't in the hospital, which was actually a miracle. We were home. We were taking a walk. And every day that we would get to take a walk, I would look at the park that was just down the block from our house, and I would walk straight by. No way. No. Can't go to the park, because any germ could have caused Tori to get sick and end up back in the hospital. And so I was afraid to allow her to live by just even going to the park. So we passed it by every day. And there was a very specific day when I really felt God say, you need to go to the park.
Yeah, go to the park.
And I was like, no. And in my mind, I was having a conversation with God. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not. Maybe on the way back. And
Mm.
so we walked, and we were on the way back. And I had this nudge that I had to put my daughter in the swing.
Mm.
And so here I was thinking, oh my gosh, she might get a germ that could kill her if I do this. But I did it by faith. I
Yeah.
put her in the swing,
Mm.
pushed her a little bit, and she started kicking her feet a little bit, wanting more. And I was like, oh, no, that's enough. We're going now. And she was like, wanted more. There was absolutely no way I was taking her out of that swing and
Mm.
her. And so I pushed her again a little bit higher, and she started giggling. And I pushed her again a little bit higher. And we stayed there for more than an hour. And I pushed her in the swing, and she giggled and she smiled. And of course, I caught her happiness and her joy. And I realized at that moment that a life spent
Mm.
not in a swing ever,
Mm.
I had just protected her forever. What kind
Yeah.
of life she had had.
And
And
that's what happens. It was that fear, and your fear took over as a mother that she could die instead of letting her live. So even if she could die, she couldn't live. Yeah, but it was a tough choice for you. You're, a mother, and you want to protect your child to the end at all cost. And sometimes, as we said, the fear takes over.
and
But
sometimes
but
we
you
just
did it in the end, yeah. And
have to let go and let God and trust.
and trust. That's the most thing. Believe and trust that, as I see now, He's got our best interests, whatever it is, the path that it is. Like my father dying for whatever reason. He found God, and then God chose to call him, and it all happened for a reason. And sometimes we don't understand, and I know that more than anybody. And so yeah,
Yeah, faith and trust
faith
are
and trust.
where, really come into play here.
Yeah,
If I had lived in fear, Tori would never have gone in the swing.
never.
And,
Hmm.
I have to go back to Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you, plans for a future and a hope. And
Yes,
when we claim that over our lives, it does give us the strength to
does.
act, just
Yep.
to take one step forward.
It's true, and it's funny because I have here, I can see it, it's my little exact quote, Jeremiah 29:11, of I know that you have the plan for me. No matter what my path is that I might not know, that you have it for me. And it's a reminder every day. That's one of my favorite quotes from the Bible. And my dad had it highlighted, that quote too, in his Bible, of how important that was. And the irony of that is, like, he had so many different quotes and stuff in the Bible, but then he didn't act on any of them. Like, it's like, I know he knew that God had a plan, and maybe that's why he did in the end act on his passport, but it was too late. Maybe something said something to him, and he finally took action to get his passport. But at the time, though, God said, well, I guess there are other plans for you. It wasn't his plan to go to Europe with me, but at
But
least we.
now you are here. You are taking action. You are telling your dad's story to encourage other people to never give up, because you're here. Never give up. And
Give up no matter what life throws at you. Yep.
it's never too late.
It's going to throw us some curveballs, like I said, after my father dying, and my brother, and becoming his legal guardian was definitely, a big curveball. But you just got to go through it and do it. And I knew that that's what God was telling me to do, because when everybody in my family thought I was crazy, um, I said no. I knew that He was telling me that, like, this is what you're going to do. I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And so that's where we're at.
So on this Friday,
Mm.
what final thoughts do you have for us?
Just take action today. If there's one thing that you're putting off or keep procrastinating, I'll do it tomorrow, or put that application for the passport in the mail. Do it today before it's too late. It's not too late today while you're here. It's only too late when you're not here.
Amen.
So,
And just a quick follow-up. Keith, if you are listening, Keith is a longtime client of mine. And when he first found me for health insurance, he was dying. He literally, they had read him last rites. He was dying. And I got off the phone with him today at 2:30, so just before this broadcast. And he told me that he now he weighs as little as he weighed when he was in 5th grade, which is a healthy weight. And he's doing great. He used to take something like 17 medications, and he's down to 1 now. And he's just amazing. And, he could have given up. He could have said back then, it's too late. But it wasn't too late.
No. And it's so easy to give up, though, the path of giving up or going and pushing when things get hard. Because, I know it was hard when my father died, and the challenges with my brother when my mom was in the hospital. And there were days that, that like, can I do this? What am I, but you push through it, because at the end, if you have that belief that God's going to pull you through it, and he does, he pulls you through it, but you have to have that belief to go through it and not give up. We've all been there.
Yeah. And having the dream,
no matter what it is, people think sometimes,
the dream helps not give up.
I mean, sometimes people think that having certain dreams of, wanting certain things in life is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing to want to live in Hawaii. It's not a bad thing to want to go to Europe. Nothing is a bad thing to live your life. The bad thing is not taking action and living your life. That's the bad thing.
Yeah.
Is just letting life pass you by. So don't let life pass you by.
Say that one more time.
Don't let life pass you by. It's not too late.
Yeah. And the Lord has amazing plans for each one of us.
And he does. He knows it already. And he's just waiting for us to jump into it and act on it and listen and believe. The biggest. Yeah.
Bonnie Huntsman, I'm going to put your contact up here again. Tell us your website one more time.
BonnieHuntsman.com. Nice and easy. My name, Huntsman, like it sounds, Huntsman. Bonnie.
Perfect. And I thank you so much for
being
here. Finally, we got to do this.
Finally, and I appreciate it more than you know. So, thank you, my dear friend.
You are my sister from another mother, and I love you dearly.
Yes, I love you dearly too.
To everyone who joined us today as well, thank you. And anyone who listens on the live stream, we thank you as well. If you enjoyed today's episode, just take a second to subscribe to the channel and rate this. And we will see you after the holidays. And I have to say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will be back very soon. Thank you again, Bonnie.
My pleasure. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
We appreciate you for tuning in to this episode of Altered Moments. To get updates and new episodes, please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave us a review. Until next time, remember, never give up.